Here's some things that are really important. Over half of these slots are open, and it's easy to become a PC. But guess what? The establishment in the parties, both parties, they don't want you to know this. If you can find me video of any incumbent Republican on the internet ever telling you what I'm telling you tonight, please send it to me, because I've searched and I can't find it. They don't want you to do this. They like everything just the way it is because their political power is at stake. Okay, so this is the way they depict themselves. They put, oops, wrong button. They put the national committee at the top, okay, and then they got the state committees below, and then down here are the county committees, okay, and this is Maricopa County, Apache County, etc. Then the legislative district committees. And see, some states organize on congressional districts as well, but we don't here in Arizona for the political parties. And then way down here are the little precinct committeemen, okay? And here's a dirty little secret. This chart's upside down. Yep. This is where the power is. Yep. But the problem is half of the slots are vacant. And 50% of the slots, well, not anymore. The conservatives pretty much control the party now. Unfortunately, there's some fake conservatives who run for the offices, and you got to be real careful about that. I won't mention any names. Here's where we are nationally. There's about 400,000 precinct committeeman slots nationally. About 200,000 are vacant, and the 200,000 that are filled, they're split about 50% conservative, 50% something else. And how do we know that? Well, look at the makeup of the RNC. Who do they always elect? They always elect a conservative who's really not a conservative, like Michael Steele, Reince Priebus, and so forth. Okay, now let's look at Arizona, Maricopa County. This is from 2012. We had at the time of the primary election, there were 6,383 slots for about 710,000 registered Republicans. Now, look at the timeline here. In November of 2008, only 31.8% of the precinct committeeman slots were filled. Okay? 1,989 of them. By November 2010, that jumped up to 44%. Then through the appointment process, because you can get appointed to an interim slot, we got up to 49%. After the November 2012 election, we were at 51% filled. And last night we had our county committee meeting, and I was there, and I asked Tom Husband, the executive director, what's the count? I always ask him that. What's the count? The count meaning, what's the number of precinct committeemen we have? And what's the percentage? And we're at about 55% now. But we've got a long ways to go. Okay, so where does the real power reside? Well, obviously it resides in the precinct committeeman, at the precinct committeeman level. But unfortunately, we're weakest at this fundamental level. So here's where the real power lies. Here's the precinct committeeman, but again, we only got about half of the slots filled. These are all vacant, okay? Well, the legislative district officer slots, they're all filled. The county officers, they're all filled. State officers, these are approximate numbers. RNC delegates, well, we got 3 RNC delegates. Total RNC state delegates, there's about 150 that go to the convention. They all got filled. But here we are, the little people. And we would have many, many, many more of these people being conservatives if we filled up all these vacant PC slots. So here's a no-brainer. Which of these two parties is better? So on the left is what it is. Conservatives, moderates, split about 50-50, and 50% of the PC slots vacant. Okay? So you got a half-strength, ideologically split party with no message and no ground game for getting out the vote. So here's what it could be on the right. You fill up all the vacancies. Now you've got a 75% conservative majority, a full-strength party. You'd have a landslide win-producing political powerhouse of a party. So which one's better, the one on the left or the one on the right? Okay, thank you. Okay, so yelling from the bleachers versus being on the playing field. Okay, again, the sports analogy. Okay, the real ball field of politics are these local committees. That's where the ball players are. Mere registered voters, they're yelling at the party, gosh dang, rhinos, run, 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 run. You know, okay, oh, those Congress critters are so bad. That ain't going to change a damn thing. If you want to change the outcome of the primary elections, you got to become one of these guys, the ball players on the real ball field. Precinct committeemen are the only voting members of the party, okay? So if you want to have an immediate effect on incumbents, show them that you've got the voters to take them out in the next primary election. How do you do that? Immediately, like I said, Tea Partiers, pivot, go to your legislative district committee meeting, volunteer to become a precinct committeeman, fill up all the empty slots. All these people want to have is rallies all the time. They go to a park, they have a rally. You know where you should be rallying? In rooms like this where legislative district committees meet. That's where you should be rallying. Rally at a political party meeting, fill up all the vacant slots, and then you can elect better people. So if you want to change the party and the incumbents, fill up all the precinct committeeman slots with conservatives. So what doesn't work? Just going to town hall meetings and yelling and screaming at John McCain, that ain't going to work. Okay? He could care less that you yell at him, frankly. Because he knows, well, this is something I got to do, and I'll do it, and I'll take it. But it ain't going to change. The only way you're going to change John McCain is to change him out at the next primary election.
Yeah.
I don't write letters, faxes, and emails anymore to the Congress critters because they don't care. They really don't care. They only care about whether they're going to win the next primary election. And the way to get their attention is, like I said, rally at your local party committee meeting every month and become precinct committeeman. Okay, so the way to change things is to organize and unite politically for real political action. Take over a political party, then you can take back your government. The way to take back a political party is filling up every local precinct committeeman slot with a conservative. That means you. Again, rallies don't change the politicians. Jenny Beth Martin standing outside the Capitol going, Congress, can you hear us now? Well, even if they do hear her, they could care less. Unless Tea Party Patriots starts telling their members to become precinct committeemen. I mean, I watched her today at the Red State Gathering. She spoke after Ted Cruz. She said, you know what their Tea Party Patriots is going to do? They're going to keep doing what they've been doing. Well, sorry, they're going to be ineffectual then. Then she said, oh, you know, see, obviously we've been really effective because that's why the IRS came after us.
Yeah, right.
Wrong. Here's why the IRS came after all these groups. When the only tool you have in your toolbox is a hammer, you got to use it. And so why not hammer on all these groups that came and try to get non-profit status, tax exempt status. You know how they wouldn't have been harassed? If instead of setting up Tea Party groups, and then, I don't know why they did all this 501c3 and 4 crap. I really don't. If you would have just met informally like this group, and then pivoted and gone into and did all your political activity with a political party, none of that would have happened.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So organize and unite inside a political party. So if we act and fill up all these precinct committeeman slots with conservatives, poof, we'll have conservatives controlling the party that they invaded. And in Utah, they did that. That's how they got rid of Bob Bennett, Senator Bob Bennett. But they have a totally different system up there. They have a caucus meeting that they go to, and then they have a convention. But what they did is the Tea Partiers, they did exactly what I'm telling you guys to do. They figured out how it worked. The biggest 9/12 group and the biggest Tea Party group in the state got together and they said, hey, if we show up at these caucus meetings in mass, we can elect more delegates that are conservative to the convention, because not all the delegate slots will get filled. So they filled up a whole bunch of them, and they took Bennett out at the nominating convention.
How many years was he in there?
Oh, he was in there a long time, and see, he was in there, I want to guess, close to maybe 3 terms. And see, before that, guess who held that slot? His dad.
Right.
For about 3 terms. So it was like the Bennett term. So this is probably the most important slide of the presentation, and it's just what Francine said earlier. If all grassroots conservatives would now pivot and unite inside of a political party, the result would be you'd control the outcome of the primary elections, and you'd elect all new, greater numbers of conservative party officers. So we got all these splintered groups, all these Tea Party groups, Tea Party Patriots, Tea Party Nation, Tea Party Express. You know, Tea Party Patriots, how many members do you guys have all across the country? 2 million, maybe? 2 million. Okay, there's 200,000 vacant PC slots, but you got 2 million Tea Partiers. Why don't you invade the Republican Party committee meetings and take it over? Okay, the As a Mom group, 912 groups, Smart Girl Politics, NRA and GOA. NRA, I know this for a fact. They know it for a fact. They got 4.5 million members. Half of them aren't registered to vote, and the half that are registered don't vote. Half of them don't vote. So 1/4 of NRA members vote. Evangelical Christians, same thing. Half of them aren't even registered, and of the half that are, only 50% of them vote. So 1/4 of evangelical Christians only vote. You got to change that, folks. Sarah PAC, Patriot Action Network. They got. I go there all the time. All they chatter about on there is how bad the Republicans are, and I try to get them to become precinct committeemen. It's like preaching to a bunch of mice running around in a circle. So there's evangelical Christians. So unite. Where? Your respected local party committee meetings. So, and again, why won't conservative incumbents